If something old has been surfacing lately, something you thought you'd already healed, something from your past that keeps finding its way back into the present, Chiron just went retrograde, and that's exactly what it does. Chiron is called the wounded healer in astrology. The mythology, Chiron was a centaur, the wisest and most skilled of healers, who suffered a wound that could not be healed. And from that incurable wound, he became the greatest teacher of healing that existed. That paradox, the healer who cannot heal their own wound, who teaches from the experience of suffering rather than the absence of it, is one of the most profound archetypes in human experience. Chiron retrograde asks you to return to your own Chiron wound, not to reopen it, not to suffer it again, but to see it from a new angle, to find what it has given you that you might not have been able to receive any other way. This meditation is an act of compassion for the version of you that was wounded and for the version of you that has been healing ever since. So when you're ready, find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Now take a slow, deep breath in and release. Let this breath be an act of kindness toward yourself, not productive breathing, not healing breathing, just a simple breath that says, I am here. I am willing to be present with myself. Place one hand on your heart and feel the warmth of your own hand. Feel the steady beat underneath it from your heart. Whatever you've been going through, you are still here, and that heart is still beating. Before we go anywhere, I want you to make one agreement with yourself right now. Whatever comes up in this meditation, you will meet it with the same compassion that you would offer a dear friend who came to you in pain. No fixing, no analyzing, just compassion. Good. Chiron retrograde is asking you to turn and look at your deepest wound. Not the surface wounds, but the one underneath. The one that shaped how you move through the world. For some people, this is a wound of abandonment, of never being chosen, never being seen, always being the one who stayed while everyone else left. For some, it is a wound of worth, of never being enough, of having to earn love rather than simply receive it, of believing at some deep level that there is something fundamentally wrong with them. For some, it is a wound of belonging, of never quite fitting in, of feeling alien to the world that they were born into, of sensing things that most people can't sense and having no language for it. Whatever your wound is, let it be present right now. Not dramatically, just honestly. And let yourself acknowledge, this is something that has genuinely hurt. This is something that has shaped me in ways I did not choose. And let yourself feel for a moment grief for the versions of yourself that carried this before you had any tools, any language, any understanding of what was happening. That grief is real, and it's allowed, and Chiron holds it with you. Now I want to turn the lens Because of this wound, not despite it, but because of it, what do you carry that you would not carry otherwise? For example, the wound of abandonment often carries an extraordinary capacity for loyalty, for showing up, for being the one who does stay. The wound of worth often creates an unusual sensitivity to the worth of others, a gift for seeing people's value when they can't see it themselves. The wound of belonging often creates a bridge builder, someone who can move between worlds, who understands outsiders because they have been one, who creates spaces where people who don't fit anywhere else can finally feel at home. What has your wound made you capable of that you could not have become without it? Now, this is not spiritual bypassing, and this is not saying that the wound was okay. What we're doing is saying, you took something that hurt and you turned it into something that serves. That's alchemy. That is one of the most profound things that a human being can do. So let yourself feel the fullness of that, both the grief of what you went through and the genuine gift that came through it, because both are true simultaneously. Chiron Retrograde brings the wound back into view because there is always another layer. There's always something the wound is still teaching us that wasn't available for us to see before. So what might that layer be for you right now? I don't want you to think about what you already know about this wound. What's new? What angle of it are you seeing that you haven't seen before? Maybe it's showing you a place where the wound is still running automatically. A pattern you thought you'd shifted that's showing up in a new form. Maybe it's showing you a way that you've been using your gift from the wound to avoid finishing the healing. Maybe it's showing you that what you've been calling strength has actually been armor, and that armor is no longer necessary. Whatever is here, let it be here. You don't have to solve it right now. Just witness it. Chiron retrograde is not asking for perfection. It's asking for honesty, for the willingness to look at the next layer without turning away. Before we close, I want to name something directly. If you are someone who helps others, who holds space, who facilitates healing, who shows up for people in their hard moments, there's a very high probability that your greatest wound is also the source of your greatest gift. You help people with what you needed help with. You create the space that you needed but didn't have. You offer the compassion that was withheld from you. That is Chiron's teaching made flesh in the human life. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are a wounded healer, which means you are someone who has gone through the fire and come back with something real to offer. And I want to honor that today. When you're ready, slowly return your awareness to the room, to your breath, to the hand still resting on your heart. Take another slow, deep breath in and release. Carry the compassion from this meditation forward with you for the wound, for the gift, and for the healer that you have become. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes.